Hey guys, I'm Lily. This is Matt. We are talking about all things hurricane season. It is upon us.
That's right. We're going to talk about things to get yourself ready, your house ready, and your family ready to face this upcoming hurricane season.
What do we do with our house?
Let's talk about what to do before the storm hits, okay? So, of course, we want to be prepared if we know a storm is coming, but what can we do to prepare ourselves before the storm ever gets here? And I think that's where it really starts. And I think one of the first things that you can do is make sure to trim away any dead branches or any branches from trees that are hanging over your house. Trimming this stuff back will ensure that when a storm comes through, it's less likely to have something fall and damage your house or yourself.
Yeah,
your
pierce your windows.
Yeah, any of that. So cutting that stuff back is, I think, imperative, and I really think that that should be considered. The next thing I would talk about would be cleaning gutters. This is something that oftentimes gets ignored.
Yeah.
I mean, how many inspection reports have you had come through where the gutters were dirty?
Filled with debris, yeah.
And so, I mean, especially in neighborhoods like the one that we're in now with a lot of mature trees, trimming those trees back is one thing, but the leaves and everything that fall off of them is another thing. We got a lot of pine trees. All these gutters get clogged up with debris, right? Another thing, downspouts. We are trying to give water a clear path to get away from our house. So we want the gutters to be clear, but if you have anything, stones or debris, trash, anything stacked up around that downspout where it terminates, move that stuff out so that water can facilitate away from your house.
And this is just a reminder, keep your gutters clear year round, not just hurricane season.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a good idea to do it whenever the storm's coming, but if that's what you need to do is just think, hey, hurricane season's on its way, time for me to clean the gutters. But you can do it during the winter if you want to. Anytime you want to do it, as long as doing it, like you said, on an annual basis is probably recommended. So another thing I think is really important is to make sure that all your windows and doors are sealed up. This is a really good time to do it. This is a homeowner maintenance item, right? People should be handling this on a regular basis. But taking a really good quality sealant and repairing any cracked or deteriorated sealant around windows, doors, or any wall penetration, this is a great time to do it because this can keep water from getting in. Water blows in all kinds of different directions whenever we have a hurricane. This is your first line of defense whenever it comes to keeping water from getting in those little areas. And so it's going to deteriorate over time. Take a really good product. This is a really good one that I like to go through. That's right, big stretch. Take and seal up anything that has deteriorated or cracked and try to keep water from getting in all those areas.
Simple question. Are we sealing on the outside window or inside, the window inside the house?
The outside is what I'm really talking about in terms of like preparing yourself for a storm. And again, you don't want to do this when you know the storm's coming. Just do this before it comes. But this is the same product that you can use on the inside of your house. And most of that is on the cosmetic level, but it can also keep bugs from entering in those areas or any air that gets past your veneer, you can keep that from getting on the inside of your house. And so it's a good idea to use, like I say, this same type product to seal up around the windows and things on the inside. So another thing that I think is a really good idea to do before the storm hits, before you even think a storm is coming, is have your roof inspected. Have a qualified either inspector or a roofer come out and look at your roof to make sure you don't have any compromised areas that might lead to moisture intrusion, because we know we're gonna have a lot of wind, we know we're gonna have a lot of water if these storms hit, right? Look, we never know if they're going to, but roof maintenance isn't terribly expensive. Roof replacement is, but roof maintenance isn't terribly, even if you have to get a couple of things done, it's not terribly expensive. But you know what really is expensive? Water damage.
Right. And after a hurricane, all the roofers are super busy, so preempt it.
Right.
Preempt any issues.
Right. Yeah, you definitely want to get that taken care of beforehand.
So all of those are great tips, but what if we know a storm is coming?
Right. So that's to prepare for hurricane season. But if we know a storm is definitely coming, there are definitely some measures that you need to take immediately, right? First and foremost, I would say secure outdoor items. Any outdoor plants, grills, any outdoor furniture, bring that stuff inside, bring it in the garage. This is all stuff that's going to create flying debris. Things that could potentially break your windows or cause other damage to your house or people or anything like that.
Lawn chairs, umbrellas,
bring all that
anything.
Stuff in, any of it.
I'm going to say this.
Okay.
So when I was a kid, we would tape our windows because you don't want shards of glass to come into the house if the hurricane and the winds break your windows. But you're saying don't do that. I've never heard that before.
I do not advise taping windows. So, there are things that you can do to ensure that your windows remain safe during a storm. The biggest reason why you don't want to do it is because it's not really going to do anything.
Okay.
It's not going to protect your windows from getting broken. As a matter of fact, what it can do is it can mean that if it does get broken, it could remain in larger shards, which are much more dangerous than if a window shatters. And so that's really the only thing that it does. Taping windows isn't. You know exactly what it is too.
Yeah.
They put a big X pattern or
We
put a
did
box
this
in
when
an
I was a
X.
kid.
Yeah. Don't waste your time doing that. Don't waste your money doing that.
Mm.
Instead, if it's something that is really concerning you, and a lot of houses down south of here are required to do this, like new construction are required to have storm shutters. Wood works like plywood or metal, but they will have brackets that are installed in the brick veneer or whatever the veneer is, and these pre-made shutters that you can just put on and bolt on. This is a great solution, right? Look, you permanently have these little screws that are sticking around these windows and everything, right? I understand that. Maybe some people don't like the look of that, but that will protect your windows from any flying debris whenever storm time comes.
Have you seen those in the city? I have not. I see them in
No.
Brazoria County, down in Manville, Pomona, Pearland, but not
Yeah.
really inside the city.
Yeah, they're not required
Yeah.
up in this area, and so we don't really see them. I think it's still a good idea, but I think like we are far enough inland that we have less likely of a chance of experiencing that kind of thing. But if you want to be protected, that's the way you go. Taping going to do it. So I think the next thing to consider is if you have a generator, start it. Because these things are known to not start. And so you don't want to be in an emergency situation and you cannot get your generator started. So go out there, you know a storm's coming, it's going to be in a couple of days, a week, whatever. Go out there and start your generator. Make sure you don't need to charge the battery, change the oil, get it started so you know it's ready to go in the event of an emergency. Now, past that, it's supplies.
Yeah.
You need to have all the supplies handy and ready to go. You know, if you do have a generator, get those extension cords out, get them all ready. You're gonna have lights, you're gonna have things. I have some supplies here that I think are really good to have on hand, depending on your situation. Now these, it's a relatively new product for me, at least. I just found out about these. These are called flood bags, okay? And these, as you can see, there's 6 bags inside this. Once they start absorbing water and they form a barricade. So if you know you have areas of your house that are prone to taking on moisture and you know you got a lot of moisture fixing to come, you can set these things out there. They'll soak up the moisture and prevent a lot of it from coming in your house.
This is Houston. We need this all the time.
We really do. If you got any areas like, you know, patio doors where you know you've got a negative slope, we see this all the time as inspectors. This is a really good thing to have. They're only about $40 for 6 of them. So I think having those around, you can see they're easy to keep. They're easy to pick up at the hardware store and just keep in your garage for any time that you need them.
Any particular brand you recommend over others?
This is the only one that I really have seen, but I think they pretty much would all work the same. If you see a product like this, you can see it's really easy to store. Each bag holds about 4 gallons of water, no sand required, and so you just set them out and they activate whenever the water hits them. So
are these reusable?
I do not believe so. So I personally haven't ever used them because I don't have a necessity to use these. I would highly doubt it, but I think that, you know, once the water dries out of them, then you probably just dispose of them. But this bag is like $40 for 6 of them, so I don't think reusing them is a big deal. Having some MREs or some type of non-perishable items is really important, right?
Yeah.
And this in particular is really nice. I mean, like you can have all kinds of dry goods, right? That's fine. But this in particular has got a 25-year shelf life. So having something, I mean, look, let's face it, having something like this around is good for many reasons, not just a hurricane, right? Any type of problems that could happen, having stuff like this on hand, and a lot of this stuff on hand is a really good idea. I think that's great. Also batteries, right? I think this is a great storage system for batteries. Did you know that like storing batteries all together can actually cause a fire?
No.
Yeah, so it's really good to have an organizer like this that keeps them from touching. Different types of batteries can touch and can actually start a fire. Plus, something like this has a built-in tester, and you know, keeping this, make sure that it's stocked up whenever you know a storm's coming. This is great because you're going to need them, right? Oftentimes we need light, right? If let's just say we don't have a generator.
Is that a flashlight?
This is a lantern. I love lamp. Now I particularly like, this is made by Phoenix, but I particularly like this style. But you know, you don't have to have, of course you can have ones that take regular batteries. This is super high lumen, right? And like this flashlight, I'm a home inspector, right? So I keep a really nice bright flashlight
Yeah.
around at all times. But you can have flashlights that work off of just these regular batteries. That's fine. But having them around, there's a lot of really great lanterns available, like on Amazon for like $25 or even less. And lanterns, you'd be surprised how useful they are as opposed to a flashlight. So having a few of these around is a really good idea.
Because they give off light on every direction.
Yeah, you can put one up in the kitchen and you can kind of light up your whole kitchen.
Where do we store this? Somewhere cold? I mean, I've always heard batteries in the fridge.
I don't store it in the refrigerator, no,
Okay.
especially something this big, but just inside your house, room temperature is fine.
Okay.
Now, of course, during hurricane season, it's hard to keep things at room temperature,
Yeah.
but I think that we're hoping that this is temporary, right? And we're going to get more to keeping you comfortable, but I think like this is another thing, right? Let's say you don't have a generator, or let's even say you do, but something like this on hand is a really good idea. I will tell you that embarrassingly enough, I've lived in Houston for over 20 years, and I didn't have a generator until recently.
Really?
I don't know why. There's not a real good reason why. I've gone through many hurricanes. I've lost power many times. But I will tell you that a device like this has really helped me out a lot, because you can charge it in your truck. Like they come with, a device where you can just charge it in your vehicle, or you can take it over to someone's house that does have a generator, or somewhere has power, and charge it. And it can give you an hour or two, maybe more, depending on the one that you have, of power. You can plug in things to it. You can also charge your phones and things on this.
This is great.
And so yeah, it's just a portable power device. There's many different kinds made. I particularly like this one. Also has a flashlight on it.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah, so that's super useful.
How much is this?
This particular one is about $200, but you can get them, I think, probably anywhere from about $100 to as much as you really want to spend. I wouldn't go any higher than about that, because you need to start looking at a generator.
Okay.
First aid kit. Okay. I mean, I think it goes without saying that this is always good to have on hand. But I mean, I think for any type of disaster, having a first aid kit handy is a really good idea. You don't know what you're going to get yourself into. At some point you might have debris fall into your house. Again, windows that might break. Some way you might get injured. Having some way to actually mend that and having it all handy. See, this is the point of having all these supplies handy. Get them all out, get them ready, have them ready to go so that they're there when you need them. I hope you don't need it.
Right.
But
in case you do.
If you do. Now, we had a laugh about these, but I love this. This is mine personally. I carry this around. I carry these around after inspections when I inspect people's homes. I'll wash up my hands with this, because sometimes we don't always have soap and water available. But I mean, like most of the time we're going to have water, which honestly we need to circle back to. Water is actually a real necessity. I had some of those jugs of water that I had out to display here, but it doesn't matter. You guys get water, okay?
And plenty of it.
If you know a hurricane's coming, get water, okay? We don't know. Most of the time we still have water. I haven't been in a situation where we had a hurricane and we did not have water, but there have been times where some areas maybe the water was not considered to be safe.
Yeah, you need to boil it or something.
Yeah, boil notices and things like that. So get water, right? But I think just having some of these things around and make sure that we're nice and clean is always a good idea. Just clean your hands periodically. So having all of this stuff handy and really easily accessible when you know a storm is coming, I think is crucial to making sure that you can get through these times and struggle the least. So we've talked about what to do in preparation of hurricane season. We've talked about what to do in preparation of an actual storm that's on its way. But there's a few other things that I think you should consider as a homeowner and really think about doing prior to hurricane season and maybe just period, right? And the first and foremost that comes to mind is having a generator, okay? Now, we can talk about a whole house generator, which is very, very expensive, or we can talk about a portable generator. But having some type of backup power, I think, is crucial where we live. And it has proven, even though through the years we have always lost power during the summer, it has proven itself over the last several years that we very much need power during the winter. There have been so many people move here in the last 5 years that the systems are just overloaded with trying to keep power up. And when something fails, all of a sudden, lots of people are out of power because they don't even have enough backup power to back up the power they're trying to supply us. Right. So if something fails, if something freezes, there's not enough infrastructure to maintain the power.
Yeah, I'm a native Houstonian. I grew up here, and I don't have a generator. I don't even know where to start. So what brands do you buy? What do you do?
I personally am a fan of Furman generators.
Mhm.
Okay, they make portable generators. They do not make whole house generators. The thing is you can spend $15,000 getting a whole house generator, but how many of us are in our forever home?
Right.
And to me, I think like it's good to consider having a generator that you can take with you. They do make big enough ones that can run your whole house, depending on the size of your house. But you don't necessarily have to do that. But I think having a portable AC is a really good idea.
Portable AC.
Because you can plug that into your generator and actually, try to find some semblance of comfortability inside your house, even though you don't have real power. Even if you can't power your whole house, you can at least still have some AC. Window units are good for this as well. Also, you can power your refrigerator off of this generator, right? You can power a few lights around the house, so less of a need for all of this. You can charge your phones. You probably even still have Wi-Fi, and so you can keep up to date with things that are happening. So these things are important whenever the storm hits, and you're only going to have that if you have some supply of backup power.
Okay, so this is like generator 101 for people like me even. When you have a generator, is it running on propane? Where's the gas coming from?
Like in mine in particular is tri-fuel, okay? It can run on gasoline, it can run on natural gas, and it can run on propane. I personally, because I don't want to keep gas cans around, even though I can, I have a quick connect on my gas meter, and so I can just run a 25-foot hose out there and plug into my gas meter, and it runs. Now it does lower the power depending on your fuel. Gasoline's going to put out the highest amount of power. Natural gas is the lowest, but if you get a large enough generator, you can still get enough power to run at least what you need to run throughout your house. I personally have what's called an interlock system, so I can't have power onto my house and power coming from the generator at the same time. Things have to be switched in order to do that. And I have a plug where I can plug in and run my entire house off the generator. It's like an RV style plug. Goes into the generator, goes into the plug, goes directly into the breaker box, and everything is powered up that way.
So those whole home generators are anywhere from 15 to 22,000, which is out of reach for most people. How much are portable ones?
Portable ones are substantially less, okay? So you're probably looking at about maybe even a big one, maybe about $5,000 for a really big one. You can also get them in the hundreds of dollars, not necessarily thousands of dollars. You get one that's $1,000, you're going to be able to run a ton of stuff in your house. Maybe it won't run your AC, but but you can also spend like $5,000 or something, $4,000 or $5,000, and get one that will literally run your whole house. Now, it won't automatically come on. You're still going to have to drag it out. Yeah. You're still going to have to plug it into your house. That's where the whole house generators are awesome. Power goes off, those things come on, everything is powered. Portable one, you're going to have to do a little bit of work, but you can save thousands of dollars, substantially less. Like you said, about $15,000. You can probably get away with all in maybe $5,000 or $6,000 with a massive generator.
And I think we can't say this enough. Make sure that portable generator is outside and not inside the house.
Definitely.
I was a news anchor for 23 years, and I don't know how many times I had to report on deaths.
Newer generators also have a carbon monoxide detection.
Perfect.
So they can shut off whenever they detect too much carbon monoxide.
So like this post, share this post, please, please, please. We want everybody to be prepared.
That's right. Stay prepared this hurricane season. All right, let's wrap it up.